how to get rid of a scarcity mindset and replace it with an abundance mindset. How to get rid of a scarcity mindset and replace it with an abundance mindset. That is what we're going to talk about today. But first, please send me your validation so that I can inhale it into my nostrils and down to the depths of my soul. Send said validation by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell so you can get brand new videos the moment they come out. All other platforms, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and let them know about the value that this content provides. Okay, how to get rid of a scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset is almost it's kind of a derivative of self-doubt. And the scarcity mindset is the idea that you're always afraid of what you're going to lose and you never look at the upside of a situation. So somebody with a scarcity mindset might look at something like starting a business, and instead of thinking about how they can make money and profit from the business, they think about the risk involved. You know, if someone wants to invest in the stock market, someone with a scarcity mindset says, oh, well, stocks go down, even though historically they tend to go up over the long run. Anybody with a scarcity mindset is always looking for what's going to go wrong in a situation. Oh, I shouldn't invest in this online course. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to get scammed. Scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. And one thing you have to understand about dealing with a scarcity mindset and getting over it is, again, like a lot of the other things I talk about, understand that it is wired in your brain to feel this way. So it's another thing you need to understand about your brain really not being your friend. Your brain wants to keep you safe, avoid threats, and move you towards pleasure and help you have kids. That's pretty much all your brain wants you to do. So in order to do that successfully, your brain has created loss aversion. This concept where losing feels worse than winning. So losing $100, like if you just lost $100 and you couldn't find it, it feels a lot worse than gaining $100 would. Anytime you lose something, it just has a certain sting to it. And we're afraid that, you know, if we put time, money, effort, resources into something and it doesn't pan out, that we're going to be out of luck. And we fear that anticipated loss, which is where scarcity comes from. And the thing about it is you kind of have to bridge that initial gap until you can come into what is known as an abundance mindset. So it's weird. Like when you have an abundance mindset, meaning that you already have the things that you want in your life, you are accomplished, successful, and you know things are situated well, then the rich tend to get richer. It's like you can't get what you want until you feel like you don't need it and you feel like you're okay with putting investments into things and to investing into yourself, because at your core you already feel enough. So when you are in a position where you already feel enough, then you get more into your life. When people start to make money, they get more money. When you're more content with yourself and you don't need people, people come to you. When you don't really need things to happen, but you're just coming from a place where you want good things in your life to happen, but you're not desperate for it, then these things happen. But when you're in scarcity, everything in your life is make or break. Every little investment you make is make or break. Every single person that comes into your life is make or break. Every project you start is make or break. It has to work out immediately because you're so worried and you're so terrified about losing. So, you know, those definitions are pretty obvious and clear, but what do you actually do about it? How do you develop an abundance mindset when you have no money? How do you develop an abundance mindset about your business when you have no business? It's pretty hard to it's a catch-22. How do you get abundance until you have abundance, right? How are you gonna have that feeling like you have enough when you really technically don't? How do you bridge that gap? Well, it's kind of similar to the fake it if you make it mantra. You kind of have to make that initial investment of time, money, resources into yourself, and you're really not going to feel amazing about it up front, and you're really not going to feel that abundance, that success until you get there. And you're going to kind of just have to pretend. So I give this example over and over again. I was pretty broke when I wanted to learn how to write a book, and there was a self-publishing course that came out, and it cost $1,000, which is basically all the money I had at the time. But I said, you know what? either I put this $1,000 in, learn how to write a book, potentially get a payoff, get a skill that pays over and over again in my life, which it has, or I could just stay broke, not learn how to write this book, not learn these skills I need to succeed, always be in scarcity. Like, I didn't want to lose that money, but I also didn't want to be in a position where I always felt like anytime I spent $1,000, it was going to be a major blow to my life. So I knew that even though it would hurt to risk that money, if I didn't do something, I'd always be in the position where $1,000 was a lot to me. So I said, you know what? I don't care if this guy scams me, which he didn't. Chandler Bolt, owner of Self-Publishing School, shout out to you. Amazing program for those who are interested in writing a book for whatever reason. He has an amazing course, but that's the course I bought, and it worked out. And now, as I've gotten more skills, I have more abundance in my life. Now that I put in that initial work, I have more abundance in my life. And each step of the way, I continue to make more and more investments because I know it'll come back around. I have a business coach who helps me with my business, and what I pay her is something that 5 years ago I would have been like, you're a psycho nut job for ever paying anybody that. Why would you do that? But now as I move up, I understand that there's tends to always be an ROI in investing in yourself. And because I have more resources in my life, I'm willing to make bigger bets, and I'm willing to let more go, and I'm willing to continue to lower the level of scarcity that I have in my mind. Because the thing about it, you don't get any value in being scarce with anything. Like, you want to save money, but who's the classic example of the most unhappy person in the world? Ebenezer Scrooge. Total scarcity. Always hoarding money. Hoarding every little thing. You don't want to become a hoarder, a cling-toer. Because when you are something that you cling to stuff, that means you're going to cherish things that aren't valuable. And you're going to be in situations that continue to deteriorate over time. Take the classic example of scarcity. Relationships. People get stuck in relationships because they don't want to be alone, and they don't think that they'll find someone else, which is dumb because you always find someone else. But they're scared to go back out into the jungle, into the wild. So people will stay in loveless marriages where they hate each other, they don't have sex, and everything is terrible, but it's like this codependent mess, and neither of them wants to leave because they're scared of just being alone for a little bit. That's scarcity. Abundance is like, hey, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm relatively attractive. I'm sure I'll find someone. This relationship has ran its course. I need to move on. And there's so many situations like that. Jobs. Oh, if I lose this job, I'm never going to get another job. I'm never going to get a mid-level management corporate job again. Oh, no. It's like, come on. You got to start to think about these things at a deeper level. It's like your fear tells you one story. Oh, I'm going to lose this. But in reality, if you think about it logically, it's not that bad. You're not going to, almost every setback you have in your life, even when it feels bad when it happens, almost always looking back, it's never that bad. And your losses looking back are never as bad as they seem. So each time you're looking to get a little bit more abundance and put yourself out there in a way, put your time, money, resources out there in a way, understand that even if for some reason you do get burned, which I really don't think is likely, it's still not going to be the end of the world, and you're going to get burned far worse by continuing to have a scarcity mindset and clinging on to whatever it is that you have, as little as it may be. And in general, just having a scarcity mindset, there's very few situations where it's helpful. Even if you take it out to the broader picture, a lot of people have this idea about scarcity in terms of the slice of the pie of the economy they can have, or their level of upward mobility. Even if that's true, which it's not useful for you to think that way. It's not useful for you to think of money as scarce. It's not useful to think as opportunities as limited. Even if that's true, if for some reason the odds were only 1% that you would have upward mobility, it's still more useful for you to believe in that 1% chance than it is to believe in 99% scarcity, even though the equation, the ratio is much better. This is just the way that the world works. Is if you ever want to escape the rat race, if you ever want to build something of your own, you have to understand that it comes with making a sacrifice upfront that does not pay off right away. If you want to build a business, you're going to have to invest time and money before that business pays off. If you want to be an investor, you're going to have to let your money sit in an account for decades at a time without touching it. You're going to have to deal with the ebbs and flows. Like as I record this video, the stock market has gone down, but it'll go back up, and then it'll go back down, it'll go back up. You can't have scarcity about these things. And you have to look at opportunities in terms of the payoffs you can get from those opportunities. And there's a way to find opportunities that don't have a ton of downside. There's not much of a downside to a YouTube channel. Most internet businesses, there's not much of a downside. Capital investment, maybe 4 figures maximum. There's not a lot of downside to going out and connecting and networking with new people. But everyone's just so scarcity minded, like clinging on to what they have. It's crazy. Like you look at your life, and even if you hate your life, you like holding on to your life, particularly your identity, than having to feel a little bit lost and aimless. And that's probably the number one level of scarcity that you can have, is like on a personality level. Like you're afraid to lose who you are, even if you don't like yourself. Think about that. Most people are afraid to lose who they are, even though they don't like themselves. That's crazy. But that's the way of the world, and it's a hard knot to untangle. Like, I'm open and upfront about how many of these self-improvement issues are not easy to deal with at all. Especially something like losing your sense of self, and you've had so much conditioning in terms of, having the scarcity mindset about everything, about losing money, about losing your job, about losing relationships, about losing your sense of self. You're raised up in this kind of paradigm of fear, and you've been conditioned to be this way for a long time, and throw your lizard brain on top of that, and you have this kind of cocktail of negativity and self-doubt that you have to deal with. But ask yourself, what's your life going to look like if you hold on to everything? What's your life going to look like if you hold on to every little penny you have? I'm not selling you any, there's no online course in the description or anything crazy like that. I'm not trying to even bait you into buying some big ticket item. I'm just saying, like, what is holding on to every penny going to do for you? If you're not rich, what is holding on to that really going to do for you? Nothing. Help you maintain a lifestyle that you kind of sort of like. What is holding on to your personality if you don't like yourself going to do for you? Not a whole lot. What is holding on to crappy relationships and friends who aren't really looking out for you? What is that going to do for your life? Not much. Like, the opportunity, like staying the same and being in scarcity counterintuitively, even though it feels safe, it's one of the worst positions that you can be in. Because when you're coming from that perspective, it's just like you're blind to everything available to you in your life. All the opportunities, you can't see them because you're so focused inward on what you stand to lose. So just start thinking about, put what you can lose off the table for a little bit. Start thinking about what you have to gain. One of the things, I got lucky just to be blessed with this. I have a gambler's optimism almost, which is why I stay out of casinos, because I always think I'm gonna win, and I'm always willing to double down and bet again and again. And that, too far of an extreme in that regard is not good. But when I get started with a lot of things, I usually always look at the upside. I don't really tend to think in terms of scarcity naturally, so I try to empathize and relate with people who do. But it's like, you have so much to gain. There's so much, like the level of abundance of opportunity, especially with the internet, is insane. In all these different platforms and courses, from free on YouTube to the price of a steak dinner to courses that cost a couple $1,000s, get mentors, coaches. Like, there's so much abundance, but gotta be willing to throw down some chips, even if that chip is just your time. So think about that. Think about how your life is going to look if you continue to live in this constrained, contracted, scarce way, as opposed to being open to new opportunities, seeing what happens from there, getting more successful, which allows you to be more abundant, invest more, and continue to have that exponential growth. Okay, Real Help. This is a book that will help you move out of scarcity and move into abundance. So buy that because of that reason. There are a bunch of links to stuff below, links to get free stuff where you can join my email list and get a free checklist that'll help you develop profitable skills. You can check out all my social media handles. Excellent resources down below. Like the video, hit the little notification bell so that you can get brand new videos. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment, your 2 cents. I want to know who you are. Let me meet you. Introduce yourself. Watch another video. And I will see you on the next video.